So Mike from the Humanist report has some great things to say about Zoran Mamdani and how the Democrats have responded to his victory. So let's check it out.
Zoran Mamdani is New York's best choice for mayor.
Mamdani, are you going to support him?
I have learned a long time ago, let New York politics be New York politics. We got enough challenges in Jersey. I got a governor's race. I'm supporting Mikey Sherrill. I got legislative races. That's where my energy is going to go going into November. New York City, I love you. You're my neighbor. You're about 10 miles from where I live. You guys figure out your elections. I'm going to focus on mine.
How embarrassed he must feel knowing that most Democrats can see right through his act. We know that Cory Booker is endorsing candidates all throughout New York State. And the fact that he can't for the mayoral race is pathetic, and we see right through it.
You just heard from two Senate Democrats who likely plan to run for president in 2028. And even though that election is years away and we still don't know if we'll have free and fair elections by then, we're already kind of starting to see this shadow primary take place. And Zoran Mamdani's win in New York has forced some of the party's presidential hopefuls to show their cards a little bit early, and they're not very happy about that. Now, the way that he's basically forcing them to show their cards is by seeing whether or not they're going to endorse him, because that has implications for their position on Israel. So if they support Mamdani, they could alienate powerful pro-Israel donors like AIPAC. But if they don't endorse Mamdani, then they're definitely going to alienate the base, who they need to win if they plan to run for president in 2028. So
this is the only intelligent take on this issue. Zoran Mamdani won the Democratic Party primary for New York City mayor. And not only did he win, but he won easily. He also won a majority of Jewish voters. If party leadership ends up not endorsing Zoran by election day, and instead, behind closed doors, finds a way to give monetary support to either Eric Adams or Andrew Cuomo, who I believe are both running as independents at this point. If that happens, the Democrats can say goodbye to any chances in the midterms, because this is who the Democratic Party chose. This is who the voters chose. Trust in the party and party approval rating is already at an all-time low, as you've probably heard. Imagine not honoring the people's choice. Oh, wait, I can. Bernie 2016 and 2020. Anyway, let's continue on.
But when it comes to Cory Booker, as you saw, he would not touch that race with a 10-foot pole like the coward that he is, even though, as people have pointed out, he's previously expressed support for the vote blue no matter who philosophy. But unfortunately for him, he is one of the most beholden Democrats to AIPAC. He was one of 16 Senate Democrats to vote against blocking arms sales to Israel, and we all know it's because he is completely bought and paid for by the Israel lobby. And Crystal Ball shared this headline from The Intercept, where he bragged about texting back and forth with the president of AIPAC like teenagers.
Bruh. Hey bro, thanks again for wiring me that $1 million. I really needed it so I can run that re-election ad in Atlantic City this fall. Also, I will continue to pretend that Israel is not committing war crimes and a genocide on the Palestinians. As long as you funnel me money, I will say anything that Daddy Netanyahu wants me to say. Yay, genocide, hee hee. Get the fuck out of here.
So if you expect to maintain that relationship with AIPAC and other pro-Israel donors, you simply cannot endorse a candidate like Mamdani, who's explicitly critical of Israel's genocide, especially after he said he'd arrest Netanyahu if he came to New York. But the problem for genocide-supporting Democrats like Cory Booker is that they really relied on these smears against candidates like Mamdani of being anti-Semitic. But now those smears simply don't work. In fact, Mamdani actually has a substantial lead with Jewish voters in New York City. Furthermore, a Data for Progress poll shows that his support for Palestinian human rights actually helped him in his campaign, with 62% of voters saying that it swayed their vote. And his stance on Israel had popular support across the board. 79% of New York City Democrats want to restrict weapons to Israel, 78% believe it's a genocide, and 63% want Netanyahu arrested. And these numbers aren't unique to New York City. The Democratic base has shifted substantially on this issue, especially young voters, which is why AIPAC Democrats like Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and others, they get so uncomfortable whenever Mamdani's name comes up, because they know that they are hemorrhaging support every time they're asked to endorse him, but they refuse to. Nonetheless, they can't endorse him because they're siding with their donors over voters. Because
that's a great point. They know that the Zoran issue is their political Achilles heel. They know that they're being hypocritical after years of saying, vote blue no matter who, except when that candidate criticizes an extremist foreign government whom you take millions of dollars in campaign donations from, right?
They basically view Mamdani as an existential threat. And they're not necessarily wrong, but as journalist Ken Klippenstein pointed out, Hakeem Jeffries strongly believes that he can't become House Speaker if Mamdani wins his election.
Oh, come on. Jeffries is doing that reverse psychology bullshit that establishment politicians love to spew. He signals to the party that he can't win speakership because of a mayoral race in New York. Jeffries, he knows damn well that he can and very likely will win the speakership if Democrats take over the House after the midterms. He's lying. What a pathetic loser, a lying loser crybaby.
Now, maybe it's because it'll signal that his style of pro-genocide politics has lost public support. Maybe it's because pro-Israel donors are threatening to withhold support from the party if leadership doesn't get this anti-Israel sentiment under control. I don't know. Either way, Mamdani's race is shaping up to be a proxy battle between the establishment and progressive wings of the Democratic Party, and it ties directly into the Israel-Palestine issue. And a lot of 2028 presidential hopefuls, they don't want to be forced to take a stance now before they see who ends up winning this war within the party. And you might say they kind of already have taken a stance by not taking a stance, because I mean, Cory Booker has already clearly showed his cards, right? But you have to understand that he's not the only potential 2028 contender who's dealing with the reality that their support for the genocidal Israeli state is going to be a liability for them in 2028. So the pro-Israel Democrats have cooked up a plan to respond to the base's recent shift on Israel. As CNN reports, they're trying to throw Netanyahu under the bus in hopes to salvage their pro-Israel position. Edward Isaac Dover reports, fearing Zionism could die among Democrats, many party leaders are explicitly breaking with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to try to stop anti-Israel attitudes from becoming a litmus test for next year's midterms and the 2028 presidential primaries.
Oh, brilliant. Let's wait until 2 years into a genocide to start distancing ourselves from a genocidal maniac. Awesome. Thank you, Democrats. So that's all I'm going to react to. Definitely go check out the full video on Mike's channel, The Humanist Report. I'll put the link to his channel and to this video in the description of this video. All right, yeah, that's it. So have a good night, everyone.